The Urangi pilot project had two sources. One was Akhtar Hamid Khan, a renowned Pakistani sociologist, social scientist, I would say, not a sociologist, famous for his participatory projects all over the world. And the second was Ghulam Kibriya. And I learned certain very important things from him. One of which was that if you have a technology that is affordable to the people, you have a national program. If you have technology that depends on heavy subsidy, then you only have projects. So with him I worked on sanitation, I worked on appropriate housing. What was it all about? Akhtar Hamid Khan had travelled the length and breadth of Urangi, spoken to the people, to the interest groups. They wanted sanitation as a priority. Now, his idea was that if people invest their own money, if they participate in development, then they will become organized. Their investment is important. So he divided their investment into two lots. One that they could do themselves, and the other for which the state is responsible. So for sanitation, which was our first project, the latrine in the house, the sewer in the lane, and where possible, connector sewers were the responsibility of the people. They financed it, they built it, they maintained it. But where you come to trunk sewers and small treatment plants, that was the responsibility of the Karachi Municipal Corporation. So this was very clear in his mind, the role of the community. Now, how does the community fulfill its role? According to him, there were four main constraints for the community in fulfilling its role. Constraint number one was psychological. Why should we invest? It is the government's job. The second was the economic constraint. It's too expensive. We can't afford it. Third were the social constraints, that to do this work we had to come together. And there were rivalries and quarrels within the community. And the fourth was the technical constraints. They did not know how to construct a sewage line. They didn't have the tools. And maintenance, he didn't regard it as a constraint at all. Because he said if they invest, they'll maintain. If they don't invest, they won't maintain. So my job was basically to develop the technology and justify its economics, make some link between the technology and the sociology. So this is how the project began. And when I left the OPP in 2016, we had already reached out to more than 1 million people lived in Urangi. Now, the idea had been from the very beginning to turn the OPP sanitation housing project into a training institute. And at that time, we used to bring out a paper, a small magazine on the Urangi pilot project. So that used to be distributed all over Pakistan in low-income settlements. So settlement representatives started coming to the training institute that we want this in our settlement. So they would receive training, informal training. They would be there, watch how things are done. And if they were interested, they would come with their local representatives. And on the basis of this work that we had been doing, I was asked by the federal government to prepare a sanitation policy for the government. So I helped prepare that sanitation policy, which became federal law. It's still a federal law. There was another program which was very important, and that was, of course, long after Akhtar Hamid Khan had died. It was managed by Parveen Rahman. Parveen expanded the housing program by linking it up with the land use program of the villages surrounding Urangi. And we feel that is why she was shot and killed. We do not believe the reasons given in the judgment. So that program expanded very fast, which meant regularizing villages, turning them into urban settlements. And that upset the developers very much because it was taking land away from them. And so that's why they shot her, in my opinion. Then there were other things she also did, like she studied the tanker situation in Karachi and its relationship to the lack of water in many settlements. So she touched upon very important issues. Because after Parveen was shot dead, I could not leave. It would have been very ugly if I had left. So I left in 2016. After that, I started writing about Urangi. Akhtar Hamid Khan also started writing his experiences. And as a result of this, the project received a lot of international recognition. So the replication of its principles took place in Southeast Asia, in Africa, in Central Asia. Our writings and its reports became compulsory reading in various institutions of anthropology, of technology, of development in the West.